What's up, everybody? It's your boy Blancho back from the review for you guys, and today we got a brand new video. And it's about Damian Lillard. So let's get right into this. So as a lot of you probably know, maybe some of you don't, Dame requested trade not too long ago from the Trailblazers. So it finally happened after all these years. Dame has finally requested a trade. There's a lot of teams that are interested in him, of course, because he's a superstar player, an elite scorer. So who wouldn't want him, right? Elite 3-point shooter, etc. And as Woj said here, the franchise is expected to work to accommodate him. This is what he initially said. So meaning that the team is gonna, try to, accommodate his request, right? Maybe potentially help him get to the Heat, because that's the preferred destination if you don't know. But later on, something contradicts this report. We'll get into that later. But Woj also said the Heat, Clippers, and 76ers are three teams that will have interest in exploring trades for Lillard. So that's very interesting because the Heat, obviously, Dame wants to go there. That's the preferred destination. That makes sense. The Clippers, they're trying to get Harden as well. I don't know, because they can only get one of the two, right? It makes more sense to get Harden, right? They have more assets for that, because we also found out that the Blazers are expected to value deals that would bring them back young players and draft assets. The Clippers might have some picks they can throw, but young players, not really. They don't really have any really good young players. So right there out of the equation. Plus they're trying to get Harden anyway. So that's 76ers. The Blazers wouldn't want Harden, so that wouldn't make sense. None of that would make sense. Yeah, so the 76ers, I can't really see that happening, but because Max is off the table, which we'll talk about later. The next thing, Damian Lillard's trade request doesn't change Portland's intention to sign Jeremy Grant 5-year, $160 million contract agreed upon Friday. Free agent deals can't be formalized and signed until July 6th. So yeah, if you guys don't know, on the first day of free agency, I'm pretty sure it was, so on the first day of free agency, the Blazers signed Jeremy Grant. They re-signed him to a 5-year, $160 million deal. So when that initially happened, everyone assumed, okay, so that meeting that the Trailblazers had Dame a few days ago, they probably talked about, how they're going to re-sign Jeremy Grant, right, to probably a big deal or something, right, in general. And Dame, agreed upon it. That's what we assumed. But now we're finding out, no, this is probably what made Dame go, over the edge, because not too long after this news came out that Jeremy Grant was going to sign this, big deal with the Trailblazers, we didn't find out that Dame's requested trade. So obviously this is not it. The Blazers just mismanaged the situation so bad. They just couldn't get Dame a good team, to be honest. If you think about all the teams that Dame's played with, had along as each year that made the playoffs and stuff, they're not that good. Dame really was out here carrying, man. So it was about time. But the whole point of this tweet was that Jeremy Grant, the Blazers, this deal's still going to go through. They're still not, I guess, they didn't do this just for Dame. They just wanted him in general. So yeah, this deal, as you can tell, it's a pretty big overpay, but that's a lot of contracts this year because the new CBA, salary cap inflation, stuff like that. But yeah, the first few days of free agency are just, when you, I guess, make verbal agreements, committing to teams, right? You actually, as Woj said here, sign anything until July 6th. So nothing's actually, done written, legally until the 6th of July. But yeah, the Blazers, they're still, intend to, honor this agreement that they made with Jeremy Grant. And then Blazers, Joe Cronin. I think he's their GM. If not, then probably their owner. But regardless, he said, quote, "We have been clear that we want Dame here, but he notified us today he wants out and he preferred to play someplace else. What has not changed for us is that we're committed to winning, and we're going to do what's best for the team in pursuit of that goal." So pretty much that means that just contradicted what Woj said, that we talked about a bit ago, where the original tweet said that they're going to try to accommodate him. So pretty much they can try to accommodate him by getting, if the Heat have the best offer that the Blazers, think is the best offer, they'll accept that, right? And then he'll go to Miami. But the Heat, there's so many teams that are interested in Dame that I feel like there's definitely got to be at least one more team, right? Definitely a few more teams that have better offers than the Heat, because Heat's offer is not it's not really that good, right? They're just going to do what's in the best interest for them. So whatever the best deal is, they're going to take that, even if it means Dame doesn't go to his preferred destination of, Miami. So obviously that makes sense, right? You got to get, assets back in return. You can't just, jeopardize your, your future just for, a player that you're going to honor trading, right? Because, that'll just mess up your team, right? You're trying to rebuild as well. It's got to go both ways. And then next up, front office is talking to Portland today. We're left with the impression that GM Joe Cronin is pursuing a star-level return package for Damian Lillard, and that Cronin plans to look well beyond the Miami Heat to find one. So as we, just talked about not too long ago, the Miami Heat are probably not going to get Dame if they're looking for, this package right here, a star-level return package. You're not getting that from the Heat for Dame. But they're also not going to have Jimmy Obviously not going to give up Bam. The Heat wouldn't do either, obviously. Tyler Herro, he's the main one, but I don't even think the Blazers really want him, right? And plus, you need a third team in this trade in order to do that. Yeah, that's why I don't really think he's going to go to Miami. It just doesn't seem to work out because the Blazers are ultimately the ones who have control, right? This isn't like a Bradley Beal situation where he can just, Matumbo, like, he doesn't have a no trade clause, so he can't just, deny it and then accept whatever trades he wants, right? It doesn't work like that. Wherever the Blazers send him, that's where he's going. So whether he likes it or not, that's what will happen. And he has 4 years left on his contract, which is the worst part. So the Blazers have all the leverage right now. Dame doesn't really have any say in, where he goes. So where he goes, that's where where he is. He can't really do much about it unless, he doesn't play, sits out, which I highly doubt. He wouldn't do that. He's not that type of guy. And yeah, when Shams broke the news, he also said the Brooklyn Nets were one of the leading suitors, which I found interesting because I don't know who would the Nets give up. There's no way they give up. If they give up Mikal Bridges, bro, there's no way. I don't know who else would they give up. So yeah, let me know about that. I don't know. Like they obviously had those picks from the Phoenix Suns, right, in the KD trade. I don't know who, like, what players would they give up a star level return. I don't know. If it's not Mikal, then I don't really know. So let me know about that down below. Yeah. Also, Shams has confirmed that Dame wanted to trade specifically to the Miami Heat, as we already know, which makes sense. That's where he wanted to go for a while now. And then we also got this report saying the Sixers have no interest in including Tyrese Maxey in a potential trade for Damian Lillard. So right there, that's it. The 76ers, Dame to the 76ers, I don't know, potential rumors are just dead now. Because obviously, that's the only trade chip they really had. Obviously, you're not going to trade Joel Embiid. Harden deal, not going to work. Blazers don't want him. It's just not going to work. If you're not going to put Tyrese Maxey in, now you have no shot of getting Dame. It just won't work. And also they put their teams believe Dame wants to go to Miami, obviously, which is true. And that could also impact Dame's trade value, right? So a lot of teams, if they know that Dame's going to go there, why would they trade for him, right? So then kind of just pigeonholes the Blazers, the amount of value they get back in return. And we've seen these deals, the values drop a lot because of the new CBA and stuff like that, the second apron, etc. These changes really making team, think very hard about the, trades, the offers, the deals they make, the amount of salary cap they take back in, the years the deals are worth, stuff like that, even for star level players. So a lot of this stuff just factors in, man. And then the next thing was that Damian Lillard has deep respect for the Spurs organization. Imagine that. Imagine Dame gets traded to the San Antonio Spurs. But is that a deal around Keldon Johnson? Will that be a deal? Devin Vassell? Imagine that. This is very unlikely, but that just means that Dame would be the number one option, right? That would just kind of pigeonhole Victor in a way, because you want Victor to be your number one option, get those reps in, right, when they ultimately, a few years from now, when he's going to be like a GOAT, man. No, okay, not a GOAT, but, when he becomes a really good player, right, you want him to be, ready for those tough situations, right? So getting these reps early on are crucial, and this would just go against that, man. Dame would be ball dominant, having the ball the most, right, because he would technically be the best player. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense, but if the Spurs make a run for him and get him, man, I don't know what to say about that. And the next thing is that Dame is only focused on the Heat, which makes sense. That's his preferred destination. He didn't really say anywhere else that you prefer to go to. So this makes sense. This all makes sense. The next thing is that Damian Lillard has been in communication with Heat players over the last few days. Also makes sense. He probably talked to Jimmy, Bam, and is like, I'm going to request a trade. What do you guys think? Can I, join the team? You guys okay with that? And then, talking about how the Heat culture is going to be, stuff like that. And, just working out how the whole situation is going to, fold, how it's going to go and stuff like that, which, led up to him requesting his trade not too long after. So it was all obviously orchestrated. He talked to them beforehand because, that only makes sense. The next report is that Chris Haynes expects the Trailblazers to make Lillard happy and send him to his preferred destination. Quote, I'm taking the Miami Heat really seriously. It's true. The Heat, their offers aren't terrible, but there's other better offers. And so, like the GM said, they're going to do what's best for them. So if the Heat don't have the best offer, in the GM or in the Blazers, eyes, then they're not going to take that. They're going to send them somewhere else, right? So yeah, it's a complicated situation. So this report kind of is half truth, telling half the truth and, half a lie. But yeah, we'll see what happens. The Heat would prefer to keep Caleb Martin out of any Damian Lillard trade scenarios. Yeah, so obviously, as we know, Caleb Martin came up huge for the Heat in the playoffs, man. He emerged as a, one of the best players on the Heat, arguably the third best player if you think about it, right? Tyler Herro was out, and as soon as he, fractured his hand and was out in that Milwaukee series, guess who stepped in? Obviously, all the other Heat players stepped up, right? Gabe Vincent, another name that stepped up. But yeah, Caleb Martin, man. He was going crazy, man. So of course the Heat would want to keep him, right? And they have him on a steal of a contract, a bargain deal, man. So why wouldn't you want to keep him? And the next thing is that, Dame, He's already reposting goodbye messages on Instagram. This is ridiculous. One of my friends mentioned this. Like, he brought up such a good point. The trade isn't even done yet, and he's already doing these posts. Like, it's like if you didn't know anything, if you weren't following the situation, you assume he's already gone. He's already traded to the Heat or something, just based off of this. But no, like, this is pretty crazy if you think about it that way. The next thing is the Blazers are looking for a third team to send Tyler Herro. So as we know, a third team is needed to get this deal done, to send Dame to the Heat, if that's what the Blazers want to do. But we're also, finding out here that the Blazers don't want Tyler Herro. They're not really interested in him. They don't see him as a star player. Also, it makes sense that they have Anthony Simons, right? And who else? Shane Sharp, and then they just got Scoot Henderson recently. They have a whole bunch of good guards already, so this is going to make things more complicated and extra, payroll and stuff like that, which doesn't make much sense for the Blazers. And the Brooklyn Nets are among teams that have in contact as a potential third team to land Tyler Herro. So a potential third team in this, hypothetical 3-team deal could be the Nets, right? The Nets did want, obviously, Dame instead, but they could just, settle for, I guess, Tyler Herro if they wanted, right? Have him with, Bridges, right? And, I guess Cam Johnson and stuff like that. Team up. But that could be an avenue they do. What would the Nets give up in exchange? Picks, probably. Who else? Can we see, I don't really know who else. Cam Thomas, maybe? Would they give Cam Thomas? I don't think so, but I really don't know what the Nets could give up. So Tyler Herro to the Nets, that could be good. The Nets are building something up, man. They have a nice all-around roster. I don't know what would the Nets would be returning this deal, but let me know what you think down below. And the next thing is that Damian Lillard is prepared to only play for the Miami Heat, and his stance is Heat or bust. Quote, he wants to compete with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo to grow inside that farmed Heat culture system under Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra while becoming the final piece of their championship puzzle. So it's all true. Obviously, I talked about the Heat culture stuff before. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, right? They, obviously want Dame on their team. They've been in contact, stuff like that. The Heat culture, everyone, not everyone loves it, but a lot of players do go to the Heat just because their culture, right? A lot of players do like it. And Eric Spoelstra, arguably one of the, arguably the best coach in the NBA right now. And yeah, Damian Lillard, if they had Damian Lillard last year, they would have won it all. That's what I think. Because what the Heat were missing was just, a scoring punch. Because Jimmy Butler, he can score, in bunches quite a bit. But he's not primary scorer. He's more of just doing everything else in my eyes. He can still score, but he's not like a go-to scorer, you know what I mean? Not like your number one option scorer, right? Same Bam. Bam's there to play defense mostly, get rebounds, stuff like that. He can score, but not like, at will and stuff like that. Same goes for Jimmy. So Dame, if they had Dame, man, he could just, be lighting up from three. And especially during those times when the Heat couldn't score anything, man. Dame could have came in, got some, some buckets, man, helped them, not be in those like stretches where, they're going scoreless, right? Because those really, really made the, Nuggets, win. The Nuggets took advantage of that, man. So that'd be very good, right? That would help the Heat with that, and that's their main concern, right? Also, Kyle Lowry, what would happen to him, right? There's a lot of question marks around him. They would obviously get rid of him most likely, waive him, maybe trade him if they can't trade him, then waive him, right? Eat his salary, I guess, or buy him out, right? And then maybe, hey, who knows? I'm a Raptors fan. Maybe he goes back to the Raptors, man. We need a backup point guard. Why not? Then next up, Tyler Herro has removed Miami Heat guard from his bio and changed his header. So obviously this happens quite a bit sometimes. They, athletes just do this, like in the NBA. Like this happens every summer. People do this, and most of the time, or a lot of the time, they just do this just because. Also, a lot of times they do this before they get traded, right? Which, as we know, Tyler Herro, he's in the rumor mill right now to get traded. So this could potentially be signifying that a trade, is on the horizon. But who knows? We won't know until we actually know, until we find out, get confirmation about it. And then next up, Jeremy Grant is a future player to monitor on the trade market. Quote, another trade candidate to monitor down the line will be Jeremy Grant, who agreed to a 5-year, $160 million deal with the Blazers before the team received word that Lillard wanted out of Portland. Grant was expected to draw interest from several teams in free agency, including the Detroit Pistons and Indiana Pacers. Obviously, we knew that from earlier today, that the report we saw, that the Blazers still intend to keep, Jeremy Grant, even after this whole Dame situation, right? So pretty much just saying Jeremy Grant is most likely going to be on the move because, he doesn't really fit the Blazers' rebuilding timeline. Obviously, he's an older player. In his late 20s, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, they can get some assets back in return, but this big contract, man, you're not going to get as much as you think. If the Blazers think they're going to get a haul for Jeremy Grant, that's not happening, man. Especially with this contract, right? There's no way. I think a reason why they signed Jeremy Grant to this big contract, though, was because, like it says here, other teams are interested in, like the Detroit Pistons and the Pacers. So maybe the Blazers got word that some other team was going to offer him, like, a big bag, so they just got shook, right? And just, overpaid him because they just didn't want to risk, losing him, because they thought if they lost Jeremy Grant, then they have nothing to, show to Dame as to why he should, stay here and how they have like a playoff team or whatever, like a good team, right? They'd have nothing to really show for, so that's why. Next up, the Utah Jazz are expected to show interest in Damian Lillard. So this is an interesting one. Imagine a Dame and Lauri Markkanen. That'd be a nice 1-2, duo. What could the Jazz give up? The Jazz have a whole bunch of first round picks, I'm pretty sure. They got, a whole bunch, obviously, a whole bunch. The Rudy Gobert deal. I'm pretty sure from Donovan Mitchell deal as well. Hypothetically, if this trade did happen, it'd be nice to see, Markkanen and, Dame playing together. But I don't see this happening. Next up, Brooklyn and San Antonio are potential landing spots for Herro. So we already talked about the Nets one. San Antonio could be interesting. San Antonio being the third team instead of the Nets. That could potentially happen. There's probably a high chance of that happening. The Spurs obviously want to, build like a better team, just for Victor, right? Around Victor, right? Which will make sense. Get more talent. And yeah, I could definitely see Tyler Herro going to the Spurs. The Brooklyn Nets are open to the idea of landing Tyler Herro. So we talked about how the Nets would be one of the teams, potentially in the 3-team trade, getting Tyler Herro in return. And quote, it says here, it's unclear which Nets players were discussed as part of a 3-team trade and if Brooklyn had any other stipulations for completing a deal. But as of Saturday evening, the Nets were at least open to the idea of a trade that landed Herro in Brooklyn. So this means, okay, the Nets are obviously, open to ideas we, just read here. The most interesting thing from this is that discussions have already been made, right, between the Nets and, obviously the Blazers and probably the Heat, right, for like this 3-team deal. Right, we don't know if there's any stipulations said here. So like, if there's any contingencies and stuff like that, like if the Nets are like, yeah, we'll take Herro, but here's what we also want, other stuff we want in return, right? Because we're taking his contract on, right? Because his, if you didn't know, Herro's contract extension kicks in this upcoming season, right? So you're gonna be paying him a lot of money. It's interesting, but it could happen, but we'll see. We got this other report saying that the Heat are prepared to offer a trade package that could include Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, and draft picks for Lillard. Just going back to that GM report from Joe Cronin of the Blazers, their GM, yeah, this won't do it. There's definitely gonna be teams with better offers than this. I highly doubt this could be the best offer. Highly doubt it. There's no way this is the best offer. Tyler Herro going to the Blazers doesn't make sense, right? Which is why third team's gonna get involved, and also just in general, you need a third team in this trade. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So. And plus, the trade offer is not good enough based off what the GM's saying. So this is definitely not going to cut it. And also, we see here in Damian Lillard's likes that he said that he liked one of these tweets that said, need Dame to pull some LeBron stuff, go to Miami, win a couple rings, and come back home and win it, right? So if this happens, hey, don't rule anything out. It could happen after this contract names, right? We'll see. Hopefully Dame wins a chip, and wherever he goes. Maybe it's Miami, most likely Miami, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. And then here from Chris Haynes, he said that Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler relayed to the team weeks ago that Portland Trail Blazers star Damian Lillard should be the number 1 target this offseason. Obviously, Jimmy Butler, I've been hearing this for a while, that Jimmy Butler really wanted Dame in Miami for a while now. And yeah, here we go. It's right now they have the best chance of, having him as they, ever had. So this could happen. And obviously Jimmy knows the team's weaknesses, right? Weaknesses, which was, the scoring punch. Also, I wanted to mention that Welcome to Miami thing now. Now we know that was all true when Dame was, on IG Live and listening to Welcome Miami, whatever it was, that song. He denied it. His agent tried to deny it. But now we know that was true, bro. So it's kind of funny how, things, rolled out, I don't know. I just found that interesting, little detail. And the next thing from Chris Haynes is that a potential Portland Miami deal for Damian Lillard would almost certainly include the involvement of third team, as we discussed. The Spurs or Nets are most likely going to be the third team, with Tyler Herro going to that, third team. And next up, this was from Chris Haynes. We found out that Yusuf Nurkic could be packaged with Damian Lillard in a trade package. Obviously, they want to get rid of, if they're rebuilding, you got to get rid of all your, most of your vets pretty much, especially ones that are on like bigger contracts, right? So Nurkic, obviously Dame, right, to request a trade, but Nurkic, Dame, who else? Jeremy Grant, right? Try and get rid of those veterans to, open up the salary cap so you can get younger players in, and also just, just for down the line, right? We want to make moves. This makes sense, but would they really want to take on that Nurkic contract? Would the Heat want to take on that contract? Because that means they have to do more stuff and make up more salary cap and stuff like that, Nurkic, man, ever since that injury, just hasn't been the same. I don't know what to say. Let me know what you think about that down below. Dame will prefer Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Caleb Martin to stay in Miami. Obviously, Jimmy Butler and Bam, they're locks to stay in Miami. No way they trade Bam or Jimmy Butler. That wouldn't make sense. That would just defeat the whole purpose. But I found Caleb Martin being an interesting name because I don't know what connection Dame has to Caleb Martin, if any, but I just found it interesting because Caleb Martin, you wouldn't think of as someone that you want, a star player to say, that they want to, stay there. So, obviously, we talked earlier about how Caleb Martin, was balling and stuff like that, in the playoffs. So it makes sense why the Heat would want to keep him. But Dame saying this. I don't know. I just found that kind of interesting. And yeah, it's the next day, and then we got some new reports now. The first one is that Dame only wants to play for the Miami Heat. Honestly, we already know that. That's a preferred destination. And it says here, I'm told there are 3 or 4 teams. I'm told that there are 3 or 4 team scenarios in a potential deal with the Heat that potentially net the Blazers several first-round picks. So that makes sense. Also, the Blazers want, any team in general. They're trading their, rebuilding. They're trading their superstar player, and they're rebuilding. They want a whole bunch of first-round picks, right? Because that's how you get your team back to contention by getting a whole bunch of first-round picks, drafting well, and stuff like that. Developing your talent. So it makes sense if you get another team involved, because the Heat first-round picks might not mean a lot, but yeah. So if you get another team involved, maybe like the Nets, right, in a 3-team trade, or even a 4-team trade, you'll get more assets in return, right? More picks and stuff like that. The next report is that Jason Tatum is trying to recruit Dame to the Celtics. Back when Beal was trying to, back when Beal was leaving, obviously Tatum has a connection with Beal, and yeah, he's trying to recruit Beal, and then now Tatum is recruiting Dame. But obviously we know Dame is set on joining the Heat, so this doesn't really matter. This is kind of whatever, but it's still interesting, I guess, that Tatum wants him. I mean, any star player will want Dame on their team, right? Because why wouldn't you want to play for other great talent? And the next report is that the Celtics, Clippers, Pelicans, and Timberwolves have reached out to Portland to discuss the Damian Lillard trade. Quote, the Clippers, Timberwolves, Pelicans, Boston Celtics. Those are teams off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure there were some more. Those were teams that I know called out to reach out to see what it would take to land Lillard. Obviously, these teams have better offers than, at least most of these teams have better offers than the Heat would. We'll see what happens here. I'm actually kind of 50-50 now where Dame might go either the Heat or some other team. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. Obviously, Herro will be getting dealt to the Nets most likely. Blazer Insider says Dame and his agent could force his way to Miami. So we heard about this before, but now we get some more insight about it. Let's say a team stepped up with a Durant-like package, and Dame and his agent tell that team, dude, we're not coming to play for you. That'd be franchise blank, what it says there, for a team to make that trade. Obviously, if the superstar says he's not going to play for your team, that's just a bad sign. Why would you do that trade? Why would you give up so many assets, especially when the player's like, no, I'm not going to play for you? Right? That wouldn't make any sense, right? Players have done that before in the past. So why would you do that, right? Why would you? Doesn't make any sense. So obviously, this is what I was talking about, earlier on the video, alluding at the fact that if Dame does do this, man, which I doubt he would, but if he does do this, teams are going to be, very hesitant. They already are hesitant because they heard his preferred destination is the Heat, right? So his trade value will, go down because that, right? It depends on a whole bunch of things. His trade value depends, a lot of factors affect his trade value, right? So if this does happen, his trade value is going to go down. It's going to suck for the Blazers, right? The Blazers, they're going to get the worst out of this, right? The Heat might get him for even cheaper. Imagine that. That'd be crazy. But yeah, this is very unlikely. Dame doesn't seem like that type of guy, but who knows? If he doesn't get what he wants, maybe he does this. I don't know. And then next up, we get a quote here saying, Tyler Herro believes he's going to get traded. That's what he's been telling people. He's expecting to be traded. Everything seems to be leaning towards the Nets more as a legitimate possibility right now. So early on, we reported the Nets being the possible third team, and maybe the Spurs being another spot for Herro. But right now, this report is saying that, obviously, first thing it's saying is Tyler Herro, he's expecting to get traded pretty much no matter what, right? Obviously, he has to get dealt in this trade, right, for it to work, right? But also, the Nets, they're emerging as the top suitors for him now. That's where it looks like he's going to go most likely. Obviously, the Nets are going to have to get more assets. That's the whole point of the 3-team trade. Obviously, get Herro, not to the Blazers because he doesn't want to go there, but you still have to make the salaries match and stuff like that. So instead, the Blazers want, just first-round picks and, more either a star-level package or young players in exchange. And Tyler Herro's contract doesn't work. The fit doesn't work and stuff like that. So obviously, that's why we go to the Nets. Next up, Brooklyn Nets will want to be compensated for taking on Tyler Herro's contract. So yeah, Tyler Herro, his contract, man, it's pretty bad. It's kicking in this next season, as we know. If I'm them, obviously I would want to be compensated, right? That contract's pretty big. I want some draft picks too. So pretty much that's how you get the 4th team involved now, right? Because before it wasn't really reported that the Nets wanted to be compensated for Tyler Herro, right? We just thought they would, take him, right? But with that changed a lot of things. Maybe you see the Spurs get involved still but maybe they just kind of get pennies in this trade. Who knows? But I don't know what other team will get involved in this 14 trade. But the Spurs, not the Spurs. The Nets and the Blazers will be getting picks, right? And obviously Heat will be getting Dame. The Nets would also be getting Herro, and the Blazers will be getting a whole bunch of draft picks, young players. And the 4th team, I'm not really sure. Let me know what you think down below who the fourth team might be. Then next up, despite interest from other teams, Dame remains adamant that he only wants to play for Miami. Obviously, when hearing this right from the start, that his preferred destination is Miami, right? He has no interest in really playing for any other team, right? He could really do what we talked about, just a few minutes ago. Just pretty much say I'm not playing for any other team besides the Heat. That could affect his trade value and just things in general dramatically. Next up, there remains a strong belief a deal to Miami remains the most likely outcome for Dame. This is according to Shams, right? Very reliable reporter. Rival teams are hesitant to offer a compelling package of assurance that Dame will be happy to join them. Obviously, if you're not getting the clearance from Dame for, saying that I'm going to play for your team, right? I promise I'll play and stuff like that. Why would you make that trade then, right? You're just giving assets for pretty much nothing if he's not going to play, right? If he's not giving you that reassurance. But the thing is also he's 4 years left on his deal. What do you really imagine he sits out for 4 years? That's unlikely. But then you'd be forced to trade him, right? So you don't really want that happening, man. That's a messy situation. So it makes sense. The Heat might, like I said earlier, the Heat might just get Dame just because other teams are just scared that Dame might just not play for them, right? And then the team would just be giving up assets for nothing, pretty much. So yeah, the Heat could fleece here. Players are checking to see how Portland Trailblazers treat Damian Lillard on his way out. Obviously, you want to see the Blazers. The reason why players are watching this is because they want to see how, they treat Dame, right? The superstar player who's loyal to them for all these years, right? Been with them since the start of his career, right? Was drafted to the Blazers. They want to see how his handles because they're like, what if we go to the Blazers? What if I'm interested later on in my career, to go there? And then if they do Dame dirty, right, don't send him to Miami. Might be a bad look for the Blazers. Obviously, your franchise, you want to do what's best for your interests as well, but it's interesting. It's an interesting situation. I doubt any free agents, big ones, would go to, the Blazers, man. Like, let's be honest here, but maybe. We'll see. Brian Windhorst says the Sixers might land Dame if they offered Tyrese Maxey. He says, I think Maxey is a prime piece. And again, if Philly was to make that offer, Dame might be in Philly right now, but they are not. Obviously, we saw the reports. Tyrese Maxey's out, man. He's the 76ers are not having him any trade discussions. They're not willing to trade him, right? And right here, Brian Windhorst, reliable ESPN reporter, is saying that Tyrese Maxey's the hidden chip, man. If they put him in the trade, the deal would be a done deal. Dame would be a Sixer. He'd be teaming up Joel. But they're saying since Tyrese isn't included, then that's why the 76ers are just, pretty much not getting Dame, right? They're out of, contention for getting Dame, which makes sense, right? Tyrese Maxey would be a nice fit. But then again, they still have a lot of guards. It would be a good guard, right? You'd be getting, but still. Shams makes it clear that Dame only wants to play for the Heat. Trade could end up in we already talked about this, but yeah, 4-team deal, that could be interesting. Trade talks between the Heat and Blazers could last weeks. That's very, likely, honestly. We've seen a lot of trades like this before where they, get stretched out, a few months, a few weeks, makes sense. This is a pretty hard deal, especially since the Heat, their offer is not, too good. So, yeah, we'll see. Obviously, we'll be, keeping updates on this. It's a very, developing story still. A lot of, moving pieces to this story. So, yeah, it's a pretty long video, and yeah, that's all the updates on Dame situation. Let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one. Peace.